Okay, so welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday and happy almost Shivaratri. So tomorrow is the day of Shivaratri, the celebration of it. And essentially the celebration is it's dedicated to Shiva, so the energy that dissolves. But it's really dedicated to the acknowledgement of the turning of the world, right? So the metaphor for the holiday is that it's the one night of the year that Shiva, the cosmic dancer, the one that moves creation and keeps this whole experience going, that he takes a break. It's his wedding night, so he gets the night off. And so we're asked as the rest of the beings in creation to stay up and move the world, right? To keep the dance going, to keep participating, and to have that be, our experience is that we're not looking for someone else to do it for us. We're not looking for something else to hold us up, but that we're actually really coming to understand what our own axis is, right? The center of our own experience, the center of our own world. Because ultimately that's what our practice is about. A yoga practice is about not the outside spinning, it's about where's that internal center that everything revolves around, right? That everything extends from. So the holiday is that it's the opportunity to realize or to remember that there is a part of you that is already enlightened, right? There's a part of you that has never not been enlightened. There's a part of you that is always in that state of equanimity or peace, or it's the place that all of the rest of your experience revolves around, but that is never changed by that revolving, right? So the waking up, the staying awake is to realize that you're participating in that. Right? To not fall asleep and say, well, someone else will take care of it. If I want this world to shift, then someone else will do it. And I'll wait for someone else who's better at it, or someone who's smarter, or has more energy, or is more accomplished than me. I'll wait. Right? We're asked not to wait. That for at least this one night, you step in and say, I'm going to connect individually to my own center axis, right? The axis that my world, my experience of my world revolves around. So comfortable seat. You can use whatever fun words you want with that too. It can be connecting to your soul. It can be connecting to however you want to put it, but it's that point inside where the rest of your experience all revolves around, right? Comfortable seat, eyes closed for a moment. And I've been using today the lovely image of the blue sky because we are entering into that moment where we're so excited that it's almost spring, just about spring. And that desire to be outside of restriction, out of doors, away from walls, away from ceilings, away from computers and cars, and that feeling of overwhelming responsibility, right? The desire is there to be free. So we use the blue sky, let your mind be full of that vision of an endless blue sky. We use that as a way to remember that that state of mind, that state of freedom exists in you always. And you can come back to it because it's never not there. You could say that in the metaphorical sense or the energetic sense, the abstract sense, this is Shiva, the blue sky. And that state of openness without restriction is that's what we wake up to when we celebrate Shiva, is that energy in you, the ability to live your life as it revolves, always in that state of freedom. And that there's nothing that you are willing to give that up for. That's also Shiva, the little bit of the rebel. It says, I will not give that up because it's me. I will not give myself up. So we wake up to it. A couple more breaths. Blue sky. Whole mind is the blue sky. And then with your next exhale, bring the hands together in front of the heart center. You don't ever have to let go of that image. If you want to keep it in your mind as the focal point for the whole class, you don't ever have to let that image go, right? Keep it if you like it. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Om. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release the hands, bring your hands to your knees, your thighs, just circle the torso a little bit. So moving a nice big spiral. Good. I have to say, as a character, Shiva is one of my favorites because he does straddle this line where he is the perfect yogi, right? So you can imagine what you associate as being the qualities of the perfect yogi, perfect meditator. But then he's also depicted as, you know, a degenerate. Like the homeless guy covered in ashes, barely dressed, wild eyes because he's been out drinking all night, right? And you look at him and you wonder, is he really conscious or is he crazy? And to be Shiva is to straddle that line, is to be in a place where you are willing to rebel. You don't give up on who you are. And at the same time, to hold so steadfastly to what's true, not out of rebellion, but simply because it's true. Move your torso the other way, please, if you haven't already. So we're in that interesting place in the world, right? We're holding to truth. It's always been a challenge, but it's especially challenging. It's a lot that wants to pull us away, and we're very used to doing it. Giving ourselves away because we think that it will make someone else happier, more comfortable, et cetera, et cetera. So finding yourself that central axis of what is true and holding steadfast. Come back to stillness, please. Good. Inhale the arms up to the sky, interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands up. Good. So pressing out through the pinky fingers, pressing out through the heels of the hands. Beautiful. And then lean to your right, side body stretch. Good. As you lean to the right, really try and push your rib cage wide to the right. So you're moving your right rib cage wider laterally and then pressing down through your left sit bone. Good. Let your right hand touch down to the floor, please. You can bend the elbow there if you'd like. You can drop down to the forearm if that's available. Keep reaching through the left arm over the ear. Good. Palm can be facing up or down, whatever works. The more you walk that right hand out beyond your hip, the more space you have to drop a little lower. And as you drop a little lower, you are able to get more into that feeling of pushing down through your left sit bone and really pulling that low part of your waist long. Good. And then release your left hand down to the floor so that you are leaning over that right thigh. So as that hand comes down to the floor, you're kind of forward folding at an angle over that right thigh. Good. So you're still turning from the waist, but you're in a bit of a forward fold. You got it. You're all there. Good. Press down through that left butt cheek. Good, Emily. And then walk yourself back to center. Beautiful. Inhale both arms back up to the sky. Interlace your fingers, press heels of the hands up. Good. So get as long as you can. Pull up through your ribs, pull up through your low belly, push down through your seat, and then lean to your left, side body stretch. As you're leaning, you're moving your left rib cage wider to the left. Good. And as you move your center of gravity in that direction, you push down through your right sit bone. You press down through your right butt cheek. Good. And then let that left hand touch down to the floor. Right arm continues to reach over the ear. Keep walking the left fingertips away from your hips. So keep extending. And then you can start to bend that elbow, maybe dropping the forearm to the floor. Good. But any amount that you drop down is it's going to create more incentive, more pressure on the side body. So you can push down through your right butt cheek. And again, feel that drawing away of your rib cage and your hips. Good. Nice, everybody. And then come all the way back up. Oh, sorry. So come back forward, straight ahead, and then just walk yourself over that left thigh for a second. So in a forward fold with your legs crossed, just walk yourself on that diagonal. So again, you have that feeling of turning through the waist, turning through the ribs over that thigh, and press down and back through your sit bones. Press down and back through your butt. Good. And then walk your hands back towards center, please. Come up to seated again. If you're sitting up on a prop, that's okay, but we're coming into Badakanasana. So if you're way up, you might want to come a little lower. If you have a block that you can place between your feet, grab a block to place between your feet. Good. So Badakanasana, knees wide, bottoms of the feet together. Put a block between your feet if you'd like. So you can start narrow with the block, right? And then we'll progress and you can get wider as you want. So if you want to start with the narrowest setting on your block. Press the feet in. Curl your toes back, so you're actively pushing your feet into that block. So if I asked you to lean back on your sit bones and lift the block up with your feet, you should be able to do it. There you go. I know, automatically some of you will try it. Good. So that's the kind of pressure you want, is that you're pushing in. And then as you push in, lean forward just a little bit and wiggle your sit bones back. Yep. Good. And then keep pressing the feet into the block. Keep those sit bones wiggling back. Draw your navel in and really reach forward, squeezing the knees up just a little bit. So forward fold into that Badakanasana, pressing your feet into the block. Good. Squeezing your knees up towards your side ribs just a little bit, but actively trying to push back through your seat. So push back. Good. Through the inner thighs. Push back through your sit bones. Nice. Good. Keep squeezing the feet. Keep squeezing the knees. Awesome. And then let the knees go here. Drop a little deeper into the forward fold. Just the knees. Relax that squeeze. Drop in deeper. Good. And then walk yourself back up. Nice. And take your block to the next widest setting. Good. And then same thing. You're pressing your feet into the block. Again, give as much space between your heels and your groin as necessary, but press the feet into the block. Curl your toes back. Knees squeeze up just a little bit. And then start to move forward, wiggling your butt back just a little bit so that you're really pushing back through your inner groins and through your sit bones. Good. So you can really over exaggerate that wiggling so that your pelvis is really tilting forward as much as it can. Because what gets tricky with piriformis especially is that if we're tight in the lower back and potentially the glutes and the piriformis, is that the tightness in our back actually restricts our ability to get into the depth of the muscle or the belly of the muscle. So that wiggling back so that you're really exaggerating the tilt of your pelvis, helpful. We have to free up the lower back and piriformis at the same time. Good. Relax the squeeze of your knees. Drop a little deeper into the forward fold. Good. And then walk yourself all the way back up. Nice. Either stay with this or go to the next widest setting, the most wide setting of your block. So turn it parallel. Good. Again, pressing the feet into the block. You might have to change the position of the feet the wider the block gets. Good. Push in. Curl the toes back, lift the knees up, wiggle yourself as you come forward, wiggle your butt back. So again, you're working the tilt of the pelvis as much as you can. Good. Nice. And keep squeezing the feet, keep squeezing your knees up. As the knees squeeze up, push back through your sit bones, push back through your seat. Good, you guys. Nice. Release the squeeze of the knees, but stay forward. So as the knees drop, you let yourself come forward just a little bit more. Good. And then start to walk yourself all the way back up. Nice job. Remove the block. Stretch your legs straight out in front of you. Good. Bend your right knee, please. Step it over your left thigh. So your right foot comes to the outside of the left thigh. Bring the left arm around to hug that knee in towards your belly. Right hand comes back behind you. Spinal twist. Good. And as you're twisting here, you're drawing that thigh in towards the belly, lifting your belly up towards your thigh. Again, try and almost lean forward slightly so that you can really press down and back through your sit bones. So focus on trying to really send the lengthening of your lower back, the energy of stretching down into the lower back and into the seat. So as you pull that thigh up and in, angle it in. Good. You're pressing down and wide with your sit bones. Beautiful. One more breath there. Good. And then slowly release, coming back to center, please. Unwind, stretch that right leg out in front of you. And then bend the left knee, bring it in towards your chest. Step the left foot over the right thigh. Right arm wraps around the front of that knee. Left hand comes back behind you, twist. And again, you're drawing the thigh up and in, belly up towards the thigh. And as you're twisting, you're dropping down and wide through your seat. So a slight lean forward. So again, you can really press your sit bones back and wide. Good. Nice. Lauren, just watch you don't drop your head. Keep your head in line with your spine. There you go. Awesome. And then bring yourself back to center, please. Nice job. Unwind the legs. Good. Take your legs nice and wide. Upavista Konasana. Good. And with the legs wide, bend your knees, drag your heels back. So as your heels drag back, your knees pop up. Good. And then walk yourself forward with the knees bent. Keep dragging back on the heels. So again, you're rooting down through the tops of the thighs into the hip socket. Good. Don't let your toes roll open. So there's a hugging in of the shins or rolling in of the shins. Nice. And again, you're focusing on this tilt of your pelvis. So as you lean forward, focus on pressing backwards through your seat. Good. One more breath. And then start to let the legs press out towards straight, pressing out through the heels, still leaning forward. Walk yourself over the right thigh. So walk your hands till you are framing the right leg. Good. Turning the torso. Nice. Pressing down through your left thigh, down through your left sit bone. Good. And then bring yourself back to center, please. Walk the other way, walking the torso towards the left leg, either hand framing that leg, turning your belly, turning your ribs. Good. And then again, as you walk forward, there is the feeling of your chest pulling towards your toes, but also of you drawing back through your sit bones. So you're still over that left leg. Good. Really focus on the pressing down and back through your pelvis. That's going to help get more into the stretch in the lower back and not so much focus in the middle back. Good. And then bring yourself back to center, please. Nice. Bring your legs together just so that they are as wide as your mat, so a little bit less wide than they are now. And then again, bend your knees, drag back on your heels so you're in like a seated squat. Good. So you're on your heels, not your feet flat. Up on your heels so you can see the way Caroline is doing it. So lift the toes up off the floor, but drag back. Good. Hands inside the knees, please. And then start to walk yourself forward again, like you're coming into a forward fold. Press down and back through your seat. Good. Keep the rolling in of the shins. So your shins are rolling inward just a little bit, and you can press wide through your inner thighs. Good. And then bring your right arm, right shoulder inside that right leg. So your right forearm is right inside your right shin. Take the left arm to the sky. Twist. Good. Chest open. Nice. And then release that. Come back to center. Do the other side. So the left arm inside the left leg. Right arm comes to the sky. Good. And then release. Come back to center. Nice job. Walk your torso back up, please. Good. Now bend the knees even more. Plant your feet in front of you, feet flat, hips width. Hands come back behind you, fingers pointing towards your heels. Good. Bend your elbows just a little bit. Hug the upper arms towards each other. Press into your feet and drag back. So again, this dragging backwards is to get the back of your legs a little bit more awake. Good. And now as you start to lift up into reverse table, go ahead and lift the hips. Good. Keep pressing into your feet, dragging back. Be conscious of not squeezing your butt here. Good. So hug the place of your shoulder blades, hug your shins, but feel as though you are pressing your thighs and your sit bones wide. So it's almost like if you could imagine your butt cheeks separating here, right? Pull them wide. Now it's a weird thing to imagine. Press down into your feet. Good. And then slowly release the hips down to the floor, please. Stretch the legs straight out in front of you. Inhale the arms up to the sky, flex your feet. Good. And begin to bow forward. Again, extending the spine and pressing back through your sit bones. So really focus on that pressing back as you let the torso come forward. Good. Nice, you guys. Bring your right hand to your outer left ankle or shin. Left arm comes to the sky or comes to your lower back. So twisting to the left. Good. And again, that arm might not like being in the air. So if it feels better to take the hand to the lower back, go for that. Nice, Elisa. Good. One more breath. Lengthen your chest forward. Push back through your seat. So get longer. Good. And then release and come back to center. Forward fold straight ahead. And then go the other way. Left hand to right ankle. Right arm comes either to the sky or comes to your lower back. Good. Lift from your shoulder, lift from your ribs. So it should be from almost from your belly button that you are rotating your rib cage to the right into that twist. Good. Keep leaning forward with your shoulder on that diagonal and then press back through your seat. Nice. Release that hand back to center, forward fold straight ahead. Awesome. And then bring yourself all the way back up. Nice job. Bend the knees, cross your ankles, roll forward to hands and knees. Good. And then walk your hands forward here. So you're in a modified downward facing dog. Walk your hands forward. Hips are in line with your knees. Good. You can be on fingertips here or palms flat, whatever works well for you. But in this lengthened position, start to cat and cow. So start to inhale, lifting the spine. Good. Through the upper chest and through the back of the inner thighs, tailbone, and then exhaling, curling and rounding. So the longer position, I find, helps to get a little bit more into that feeling of the lower back, getting some stretch, the armpits getting a little relief. Not that you don't get that in cat and cow with the arms neutral. I feel like you get a little extra when you're in this long position. So keep your hips centered over top of your knees, but move your spine. Good. Nice, you guys. The central axis. As we say, it is the spine because that's the channel, the Sushumna, that energetically, right, everything revolves around. It is that central place that our whole physical embodiment generated from. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Walk the hands back in. Come back to downward facing dog, full downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Good. Right leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Then bend the knee, take your heel in towards your butt, stack the right hip on top of the left, open. Good. Drawing the knee back in space. Good. And then stretch that leg out to straight. Hip is still stacked, but stretch out through your heel. Good. And then scoop your belly, point your toes back down towards the floor. Nice. And then start to walk your hands back towards your left leg. So your toes are pointing down. You're in a down dog split. Walk your hands back towards your left foot, coming more into a standing split. Good. Nice. And then bend your left knee, please. That's your standing knee. As your knee bends, that right thigh can kick higher. You can even bend the knee if having that leg up means that it's really difficult to hold, right? Keep the knee bent, but bend your standing knee and press it wide, 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 inner thigh wide, butt cheek wide. Good. And then scoop your belly, start to straighten your left leg, straighten the right leg as well if it's bent. Good. Nice job. And then walk your hands back forward, down dog split. Good. And release that right foot down to the floor, please. Nice job. Roll forward to plank. Lower down to your belly. Good. Rise up, Cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Good. And then downward facing dog, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Nice job. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. Good. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack the left hip on top of the right. Good. So opening here, inner thigh, inner knee. Awesome. And then once you found that stack, right, really root that supporting heel in towards the midline of your mat. So squeeze it in. So don't roll towards the outside edge of your foot. Keep your heel squeezing in. And then stretch that left leg out to straight. So the hip is still stacked, but stretch the leg to straight. And feel like your inner thigh lifts a little higher so that there's like imaginary something between the legs. So they can't fall towards each other. They have to push away. Good. And then scoop your belly. Turn your left toes to face the floor. So square the pelvis. Good. And then start to walk your hands backwards towards your right foot, towards your right ankle, coming into a standing split. So your right heel ideally comes flat to the floor, as long as you don't have something behind you that's stopping you. Good. Now bend that standing knee. You can bend the left knee as well. Good. But bend the standing knee, press wide. So the inner knee, the inner thigh goes wide. Good. And then scoop your low belly, start to stretch that right leg back to straight. If the left knee is bent, stretch that knee straight as well. Press out through both legs. Nice, Kristen. Good. And then start to walk your hands forward again, back to down dog split. Awesome. And then release that foot down to the floor, please. Slide forward to plank. Lower down slow to your belly. Good. Rise up, Cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Beautiful. And then release back to your belly, please. Yep, back to your belly. Bend both knees, kick your heels in towards your butt. Reach back, right hand for the right ankle, left hand for the left ankle. If reaching your feet is not happening today, then keep your hands alongside your ribs for Cobra. Good. Draw those inner knees towards each other. Press down through the tops of your thighs. Good. And feel your butt pop up here. Like you're going to bring your butt up to your heels, not just your heels down to your butt. Good. And then scoop into that low belly again. Start to draw the pelvic bones forward. So you're taking some of that arch out of the lower back. Draw the pelvic bones forward. Keep your thighs on the ground. Bend your elbows. Lift head, neck, and chest. Good. Keep your thighs rooted to the floor. Keep your heels drawing in towards your butt. Good. Nice. Press down through the thighs. Awesome. Bend those elbows straight up. Feel the shoulders. Open, open, open. And then slowly release. Nice job, you guys. Good. Press up to hands and knees. Come back, child's pose. Let your knees go wide. Big toes come together to touch. Good. And walking the arms forward. Giving yourself as much space with the arms as you need. So on any given day, maybe it's the arms being extended, the hands are as wide as your mat. Or maybe it feels better to actually bend the elbows and make a pillow with your hands. Good. Nice, you guys. So Shiva is the place where we are really committed to what is the central meaning of our life, not what changes and fluctuates all the time, but what is consistently true, what is consistently real. And that our rebellion in the outside world is that we don't waver from that. We don't give that away. Right? So that suggestion that we are meant to stay up while Shiva sleeps is that we are meant to be as present and complete in ourselves as Shiva is all the time. To remember that that central place in you, that core place in you is always free. And to live from that instead of whatever usually distracts you. Walk your torso to the right, please, over your right thigh. As you're walking to the right, let your left wrist go a little longer than your right, so maybe even crossing the wrist. Anju. And then come back to center, please, and go to your left, moving the belly over the left thigh, letting your right wrist move to cross the left wrist if that's available. Either way, you're just trying to lengthen the right side body as much as you can. Good. Then bring yourself back to center, please. Nice job. Come back to downward facing dog. Walk the hands in, tuck your toes, lift your hips. Good. Step your right foot forward between the hands, lunge. Take both hands to the inside of the front foot. Walk to your left until you come to the center of your mat, straightening your legs. Prasarita Padottanasana. Wide legs. Good. And then bend your knees and take your butt back. So your knees stay in line with your ankles, but your butt goes back. Good. And then walk your hands forward just a little bit. So you're in a bent-kneed, wide-legged downward dog thing. Good. Oh no, with one leg up, we call it three-legged dog. Maybe this is broken dog. I don't know. Squatting dog. Good. So hands forward in front of you, Carolina, instead of behind. Good. One more breath, you guys. Dropping into your pelvis. Awesome. And then walk your hands back in, please. Take the legs to straight. Nice job. Walk your belly towards your right thigh. Yep. So you're turning your belly like you're going to lay your belly on that thigh, same as you did in a seated straddle. So you're turning your ribs. Good. And that left inner thigh, left hip goes back and wide away from where your torso is going. So pull the thighs wide. Good. And then come back towards center, please. Walk your torso to the left leg. Nice. There should be a little twist that's happening here. So your right shoulder is turning a little bit more down towards the floor. Your left shoulder is turning up a little higher and wider. Good. Nice, Molly. And then bring yourself back to center, please. Good. Now turn your right toes out to, actually don't turn your toes out. Keep your feet facing straight ahead. And just for a moment, bend your right knee and let yourself go into a little bit of a side lunge here. Good. So not a super deep one because you're not turning the toes out, but find that position where you're letting your weight again shift towards that right side. Good. And then bring yourself back towards center, please. And let yourself move to the left. So the left knee comes over the left ankle. And at the same time, pull your right inner thigh wide to the right. Good. So keep your chest and shoulders straight ahead, Molly. And then come back to center again. Let yourself shift to the right knee over right ankle. Good. Pulling the left thigh wide. Good. Back to center, please. Go to the left one more time, bending the knee. Nice. And then back to center, please. Good job. Take your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. Good. Turn your right toes forward towards the top of your mat. Good. Bend that knee, come into warrior two. Arms out wide. Good. And then dropping the left hand down the back thigh, right palm spins up and back, reverse warrior. Beautiful. Front thigh moves over, or front knee moves over the front ankle, front thigh gets a little deeper. And then come back up to arms wide. Don't change the legs. Take the hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers. Good. Twist your ribs towards the top of your mat and then bow inside your front thigh. Take your arms up and over any amount. Good. Keep drawing the inner thighs wide here and keep turning through that outer left hip. So the back thigh, the back part of your pelvis is actually spinning forward. Nice. Good, you guys. Release the hands down to the floor inside the front foot. Back heel is still flat. Right forearm presses up against right shin. Push that shin and that inner knee wide and use that anchor to press your inner thigh wide. So push your right butt cheek really wide and then take your left arm up to the sky. Again, a block underneath the hand here is a great idea if reaching the floor is a big challenge for the shoulder. Good. One more breath, pressing the forearm into the shin, pressing the shin into the forearm. Good. And then release both hands down to the floor. Nice job. Spin your back heel up. Drop your left knee. Good. And then scoot your left hip back on top of that knee. Take your right leg forward to straight. Ardha Hanumanasana. Blocks underneath the hands here are a great idea. Good. Take both hands inside the front foot. Yep. Start to turn your right toes inward. As your right toes turn in, take your right butt cheek really wide and push your left inner thigh wide at the same time. Good. And that slight lean forward, I want you to breathe into what feels impossibly tight. My own experience with piriformis is I find that that's the hardest part, is you find a place where you're in a good position for the muscle to let go, but then you've got to stay there. You can't move away from the sensation because it's intense. You have to stay. You can come in and out, but you've got to really keep moving towards it with it. One more breath, really lift and open that right butt cheek, right inner thigh. Good. And then scoop your belly, please. Start to turn those right toes back up towards the ceiling, pressing back through your sit bones. Awesome. Good. Drag that heel back and in so you come back to a low lunge. Lift the back knee. Good. So front knee should be over the front ankle, back knee lifts, left hand plants right onto the sky, spinal twist. Good. And then flex that right foot a lot. Let the knee start to drop open wide. If you need to bring the back knee back down to the floor for that to feel like it's possible, then bring the back knee back to the floor and then let the right knee fall open. Good. And even as that knee is falling open, you're still lifting and pressing up and back through your sit bones. Yeah, so you're not letting the pelvis droop to the floor. Nice, Lauren. Good, Molly. Good, Laura. And then release the foot flat to the floor, release the hand back down to the floor, step back, downward facing dog. Good. Vinyasa, if you'd like, child's pose if you prefer. If you're doing the vinyasa, you're sliding forward to plank, lowering down to your belly, Rising up into Cobra, lifting head, neck, and chest, pressing down through the feet. Nice, Harriet. Downward facing dog. Good. If you're in child's pose, you'll meet us back in down dog as you're ready. Good. Left foot steps forward between the hands. Both hands come inside the front foot. Walk to your right till you come to the center of your mat. Turning the toes, Prasarita Padottanasana. Good. Walking yourself towards that right thigh, please turn your belly towards your right leg. Again, twisting through the ribs and drawing your left hip and your left inner thigh back and wide, so don't let them go with you. So Emily, move that left hip back. There you go. Good. And then either stay here or left hand holds right ankle or shin, right arm to the sky, or that hand can come to your lower back. Good. Can you still focus here on keeping your spine as long as possible? So your sit bones, again, pressing back and wide, and your shoulders drawing long on that diagonal. So don't round into the twist, extend into the twist. Good. And then slowly release, come back to center. Go the other way, bringing your belly towards the left thigh. Good. Turning the belly, turning the ribs. Right hip has to pull back and away from the twist. Good. And then right hand reaches for left ankle or shin. Left arm comes to the sky or hand to your lower back. Right. So you can feel how frustrating it can be to stay in this center kind of place, because the momentum of wanting to twist is pulling your pelvis, is pulling your ribs, right? That's the way the world pulls us. Momentum, experience. I'm just going to go this way. I'm going to forget where center was. Good. I'm going to forget how to be in both directions, forward and back. Good. Slowly release. Come back to center, please. Right. So our body teaches us this, how frustrating it is to be in that state of awareness. So can you stay awake to that? Turn your right toes out to 45 degrees. Bend your knee. Come into that side lunge again with the toes turned out. Good. So as you bend the knee, you're still pointing the knee towards the second or third toe, trying to keep your shoulders as much center as possible. So don't walk your hands towards that foot. Just stay where you are. Good. Yeah, the knee goes wide, inner thighs go wide. Good. If you are pretty low in that lunge and you want to turn your left toes, the extended leg, up onto the heel, turn your toes up towards the ceiling. Good. Start to tuck the pelvis slightly under, so dropping down into your seat a little bit more. Lift your hip points slightly up. So again, coming to a more vertical pelvis. Good. And if you're really low in your lunge in that position and you want to take one hand or both off of the ground, you can, as long as your heel can stay flat. That's my rule. Good. But keep feeling the inner thighs pulling wide away from each other. Don't sink into just the right leg doing the work. Good. Bring it all the way back to center, please. Nice job, Emily. Good. Turning the toes forward. And then turn your left toes out to 45 degrees. Bend the knee, go into the side lunge in the other direction. Good. Keeping your torso as much straight ahead as you can. So don't walk towards that leg. Again, don't move with the momentum. Maintain that separation of your ribs are staying steady, but your pelvis, lower back has to open. And you're pushing through the inner thighs wide, both directions. So the straight leg is pushing wide as well. Good. And then the option is to come up on your right heel, turn your toes up. Good. So there's that drawing the sit bones under and lifting your hip points up. That allows you to maybe lift your spine a little bit more vertical. You got to drop your hips lower to make that happen. And then again, if you're pretty low in that lunge already and you're up on that heel and you want to take one arm or both off of the ground, go for it. Nice, Lisa. Really press back. Yeah. Press back through those sit bones. That's it. Good. And then release the hands back down, please. If they're lifted, come back to center, turning the toes forward. Nice job. Hands come to your hips. Please find your way up to stand. Turn your left toes towards the top of your mat. Good. Bend the knee. Come into warrior two. Arms go wide. Good. Again, focusing on inner thigh, inner knee, pushing wide. So whatever that does, if that causes the right hip to spin slightly forward, that's okay. But really focus on that widening and the pulling of thighs apart. Good. Right hand drops down the back thigh, left palm spins up and back, reverse warrior. Again, maintaining that wideness of the inner thigh as you lean back. Good. Nice, you guys. And then come all the way back up. Don't change the legs. Take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers at the low spine. Twist your ribs towards the top of your mat. And then start to bow forward. So your shoulders are now square to the top of your mat. As you bow inside that front knee, keep your back heel anchored. Good. Keep pushing your left inner thigh nice and wide. Nice. So that front knee is over the ankle. So there's a little bit of a scoop of your left butt cheek, your front butt cheek. Good. That little bit of a scoop lets you go a little deeper, drop your pelvis a little lower. And then that's actually a really nice engaged stretch. Engaged action. Good. Release the hands down to the floor inside the front knee. Don't change it. Good. Left forearm comes right inside that left foot or left knee. So you're pressing the forearm up against your shin. Your shin can squeeze in towards that knee. That didn't make any sense. Your shin can squeeze in towards your arm. There you go. Right arm to the sky. Good. And even as you squeeze in, try and push your left butt cheek out and wide, and then press through that baby toe edge of your back foot. Good. So it's like you're scooping the left butt cheek under, but also pushing the inner thigh wide. And then feel how frustrating that is to try and do both. Good. Release both hands down to the floor. Nice job. Spin your back heel up. Good. Drop that knee down to the floor. And then scoot your right hip backwards so it's on top of the right knee. Take your left leg forward to straight. Come up on the heel. Blocks underneath the hands is great. Take both hands to the inside of the front foot. Good. So as you set yourself up here, you're already trying to lean slightly forward. So again, so that you can press back through the inner edges of your thighs. So the groins go back. Good. Nice. And it might feel, again, when you're trying to really get into that piriformis, like kind of glute butt area, it might feel good here to actually let your butt slide back towards your heel just a little bit. So not all the way back into a Ardha Virasana, but a little bit of a press back might give you a little bit more direct sensation, as though you needed more. Good. Start to turn your left toes inward, please, taking your left inner thigh nice and wide, taking your butt cheek nice and wide, still with that slight lean forward. Pull back through your seat. The more you pull back, push back through your sacrum, push back through your tail. Good. Because it doesn't keep you caught just in where the stretch in the front or the lower part of the hamstring is. It keeps you more in where the muscle wraps around the back of the pelvis. Good. Scoop your belly. Start to bring your left toes back up straight, but keep pushing your inner thighs wide. Awesome. One more breath. Lift your chest. Lean forward as you press back through your seat. Nice. Good. Walk yourself back in. Drag that heel back into a low lunge. So your front knee comes over the front ankle. Left leg is still forward. Good. Lift your back knee up off the floor. Good. Right hand plants left arm to the sky, spinal twist. Good. Nice. And then flex the left foot, start to let the left knee drop wide. Again, dropping the back knee to the floor if that gives you a much more stable base to let your knee open up. So if you're struggling, right, with balance and that left knee isn't able to open in this position, drop the right knee and then let the left knee start to drop wide. Inner thigh drops wide. Good, you guys. One more breath, lifting up and through the chest. Awesome. And then left foot comes back to flat. Please, both hands find the floor. Good. Step back, downward facing dog. Nice job. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, please. Good. Lower down to your belly. Rise up, Cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest. Good. And exhale, downward facing dog. Nice job. Good. Look forward between the hands, step or jump your feet to the top of your mat. Good. Straighten both legs and bow. Good. And then roll up the spine one vertebra at a time. Awesome. Good. Hug your right knee up in towards your chest. Good. Take your right ankle over your left thigh. Sorry, I'm distracted. Someone has a dog. Right ankle over left thigh, bend your left knee, come back into cross-legged chair. Good. So again, sending your butt back. Yep. Good. And watching here, the trick, right, is that that right hip is going to want to dip lower than the left. So try and keep your right side sit bone as lifted as the left one is, but lean forward. So you're getting that tilt of the pelvis. Good. Nice, Lisa. You got it. Good, you guys. One more breath. Good. And then slide that right thigh all the way on top of the left, wrapping the legs for eagle. I know. What an annoying transition. Good. Take the left arm over top of the right in front of your chest. Bring the arms into eagle as well. Good. Keep that left knee bent nice and deep. Good. Squeeze in. And then round. Bring your elbows forward towards your knees. Round your back. Round into the whole length of your spine. So you're dropping the tail. Good. You can always have a block underneath that left foot here if you need it for stability. Good. And then slowly release. Come all the way back up. Nice. Hug that knee up and towards your chest before you collapse. And then release it down to the floor. Nice job. Acknowledge where you stopped breathing. Okay. And let's try the second side. The left knee comes up towards the chest. Good. Bring the left ankle over the right thigh. Cross-legged chair. Start to take your butt back. So it doesn't really matter how far forward you come. If your butt is not moving back behind your heel, then this position is not going to really get to what it is designed to do or what it's able to do. So butt goes back. Nice. And watching that your left sit bone doesn't drop lower than your right. Awesome. Hands can be at your heart or behind your head or extended. Beautiful. Good. One more breath. Butt goes back. Yep. Nice, Sarah. And then bring that left thigh all the way on top of the right, wrapping the inner thigh and the outer shin for eagle. Good. And then taking the right arm over top of the left in front of your chest. Good. Pressing the forearms together. Again, stay vertical for a moment so that you get into that straight, long spine, straight up and down. Good. And then start to bring your elbows forward towards your knees, round. Good. And as you round, you lift your hip points up off of your thighs and drop your seat even more. So you're pulling up, but at the same time, you're letting your pelvis move down. Good. Nice, you guys. Slowly release. Come all the way back up, bringing that left knee up in towards your chest if you can. Good. And then step it back down to the floor. Nice job. Awesome, you guys. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Good. Inhale the arms to the sky. Right hand to left wrist, please. Lean to your right. Good. As you lean to the right, again, don't just curl your ribs, but actually move your rib cage wide to the right. Good. And push your left inner thigh wide to the left. Good. And then come back up to center, please. Switch the hands and reach the other direction. Good. Linda, spin your left rib cage back a little bit more so that you're not twisting forward. There you go. So bottom rib cage moves back. That's it. Now your ribs can draw in and you can lean a little bit further. There you go. Awesome. Come all the way back up to center. Nice, you guys. Release the hands down to the floor. Feet are still as wide as your mat. Good. Bend your knees. Drop your thighs back behind you, parallel to the floor. Yep. We call this downhill skier, something like that. So hug those knees in. Don't drop your butt lower than your hips, right? This is a tricky thing. Or don't drop your butt lower than your knees. Keep it right in line. Good. And then take your arms straight out in front of you. Torso parallels the floor. So reach forward. Bring your belly up off of your thighs. Round into your back ribs for a moment so that you can really press back through the tops of your thighs. And hug your shins, but don't squeeze your butt like crazy. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Don't change the position. Walk your hands back towards your heels. So the hands touch the floor or blocks. Start to walk your hands backwards. So your hands walk back. Your butt drops maybe a little lower. Opportunity for an arm balance here, if your hands comfortably or reasonably reach the floor, is you can bring those hands flat, right? Bend your elbows just a little bit, start to heel toe your feet closer together. So Emily, turn your fingers pointing forward if you're going for the arm balance. Good. And you're dropping your thighs onto the upper shelf of your arms and then squeezing your feet, wrapping the ankles around each other or hooking the feet around each other. So you can't drop your butt any lower than parallel realistically, but you can squeeze in here, squeeze the arms, and then hook the feet and float the feet up off the floor. Good. Nice. Good, Harriet. You got it. There you go, Emily. You got it. You got it. Nice. And then release the feet. Unwind yourself, please. Step yourself back, downward facing dog. There you go. Good. Drop down to your knees, please. And then sit back to Virasana. So bring a block between the heels if you have one or need one, or sit between the heels if you don't need one. But you're sitting between the feet, not on the feet. Good. Let your eyes close for a moment. Believe it or not, you've been doing a lot of work. Not just in this class. This class has been a rough one. I know. A lot of hip stuff. But you've been doing a lot of work in your life. And I guarantee you've forgotten because you're so used to doing so much work in your life. So for a moment, can you go back to the blue sky? And can you actually feel the place that you occupy in your life, that your life is not pulling you here and there and everywhere, but that you are always at the center. Your life revolves around you. It doesn't mean that you are the center of the world, but it means that you are always at the center of your experience. And if you forget that, then you will give yourself away. And you'll wonder, where did you go to? And your life has lived you and you're not sure what the heck happened. So you've been doing a lot of work. Take a moment and come back to what it feels like to be at the center of your world, the center of your life. What's still unalterably true? And how do you wish to proceed in this world? Because it radiates from you around you. It's not in your control, but your participation in it comes from this center point. So you get to know your own inner self. That Shiva energy is that this is always what is true and fundamentally necessary and real. There is nothing you can do in your life that is going to build your true self. You can't. You already have it. So wake up from being in that constant momentum and come back to stillness just for a moment in the blue sky. And remember what's real. Remember what's true. Remember who you are. And then don't give that away. That's what it means to stay up and keep the world going. The more we are steadfast in what is true, the more our life aligns with that. Even others in it will begin to come into alignment with us being in that truth. So one more breath, blue sky. Remembering that you can always drop the complexity of your life, the work of your life, and arrive here. It's never not there. Then letting the eyes float open if you'd like. Walk your hands back behind you if you can in your Virasana, just walking the hands back, letting yourself lean back onto the hands, keep your shins rooted to the floor. So not a big deal. We're not going to going into anything complicated, just letting yourself lean back and keep the shins rooted to the floor and feel the stretch of moving the ribs away from the front of the pelvis. If you can comfortably come down to your forearms in this position, go for it. Good, but keep your butt resting on the block. Nice. And again, we're not going for a full, even if you can come all the way down to the floor, don't bother. We're not staying. Good, one more breath. And then walk yourself back up, please. Nicely done. Good, take that block out from between the shins. Come to sit on your butt. Good, so you lift up out of your seat first. Take the legs out in front of you. Good. And then you're stacking or you're crossing right thigh on top of left. So stacking the knees for Gomukhasana. So if you do need that block again underneath your seat, you can take it there. But you're crossing right thigh on top of left, knees in line with each other, flexing the feet, moving the feet wide. Good. So knee on top of knee. Again, you can use whatever kind of prop underneath you need. And if sitting in this position does not make sense, you can come onto your back and do it on your back. Good. Nice, you guys. So feet are still wide if you're on your back. And then fingertips either behind you, lifting you up, or find a forward fold. Good. So again, sometimes the knees don't appreciate the forward folding action in this position. And if that is the case, then stay upright. Otherwise, let yourself fold forward. Good, keeping the feet flexed. If you are on your back, make sure that you are drawing your low belly in and really press down through your the wideness of your sacrum. So you're drawing your knees in towards the chest, but you're pushing down. Focus on the pushing down into your lower back. Good. Again, that rebel energy of Shiva in the stories is I like that his first rebellion, right, is that he doesn't even want to do his job. He's supposed to be the energy or the God who is in charge of things dissolving, things transitioning and changing and transforming and dying, essentially. And he says, I don't want to do this. I don't want to participate in this. This whole thing confuses everyone. I don't want to be a part of it. I refuse to give myself away to something that's not going to create real joy. I won't do it. So where is that in us? That steadfastness that says, I will not give myself away. One more breath. Good. And then if you're on your back, stay where you are. If you are upright, walk yourself back in. Switch the legs. So whichever way you would like it to be. Again, however you need to switch it. Good. If you're on your back, switch your legs. Take the other leg on top. Again, separating the feet, reaching for the ankles or the shins if you're on your back. And if you are upright, once you have set knee over knee, feet awake, feet flexed, again, either staying upright on the hand so that you can just feel the length of your spine or forward fold. And again, remembering that if you're forward folding, you are equally taking the torso forward, but you're also sending your groins and your butt back. Good. And if you're on your back, really focus on your knees are coming in towards your belly. So they're angled up towards your belly. And then you're pressing down through your lower spine. So you're actively pushing down and wide through your seat. Good. Nice. So your work is important. The things that you do are important. But only if they are a true extension of what matters to you. If that piece is missing, you're giving yourself away just because you think the world needs you to, then we suffer. And Shiva's attitude is, why the heck would you do something that makes you suffer? You can refuse. Right? You don't have to continue in that. You can wake up. But waking up means you have to be steadfast. You have to know what's true, or at least have a sense of feeling. So that's what you discover, is what is the meaning underneath all the things that you're doing in your life. Meaning of who you are. The bigness of that, call it the blue sky, because you will eventually arrive at that. That's what it means to be free while you are doing whatever you're doing. You are not held by your restrictions, but your choices move the world. Spins the world from that core. Good. Walk yourself back up, please. Nice. If you're on your back, unwind your legs, bring the knees in towards your chest and roll yourself back up to sit. Good. If you are seated, unwind your legs. Stretch your legs out in front of you for a moment. Bend both knees. Plant your feet. Take your hands back behind you, fingers pointing towards your heels. Come back to reverse table. So pressing into the feet, bending the elbows just a little bit, hug the upper arms, then lift the hips up off of the floor. I'm always grateful when I remember to look at the clock, because in my mind, I always have more time than I think that I do. One more breath. I was about to do a whole bunch of other things that we won't do now. Release your hips down to the floor. Take your legs straight out in front of you. Inhale your arms to the sky. Good. And then bow forward, please. Forward fold. I was going to take you into fire log, but you can do that later. One more breath. Good. Walk yourself back up, please. Nice job. All right. Bend your knees. Come on down to your backs, everybody. Good. Draw the right knee in towards your chest. Good. Extend your left leg straight down to the floor. Good. Then hold behind your right thigh. Extend your heel up towards the ceiling. Good. And then you're going to reach with your left hand, if you can, for your right ankle or shin. So left hand. And then you're taking that leg across your body, just like it's angled towards your shoulder. So not all the way over into the twist, but just angled towards your left shoulder. So it's like you're trying to press your right side sacrum and butt cheek back down to the floor, but that right leg is crossing your body over towards the left shoulder. So your left hand is supporting that. Good. So you got to push your thigh or push your shin against your hand, resist, pull your right butt cheek wide, even though your hand is trying to pull your leg across your body. Good. That should feel like something. If it doesn't feel like something going on, wave a hand at me and I'll try and direct, but it should feel like something. So Laura, you can let the leg angle a little bit more towards your shoulder, so it doesn't have to be so close to your chest, but it angles more, crosses more. There you go. Yep. Good. One more breath, you guys. Nice. And then bring that leg back up to center, please. Bend your knee out wide, half happy baby, reaching inside the knee for the ankle or the foot. Good. Heel up towards the ceiling, left thigh roots down to the floor. Push your right butt cheek wide. So you could even roll just a little bit here. Sometimes that's kind of fun, is to actually roll side to side. And as you do, almost bring that right foot down to the floor outside your left hip. So you actually roll all the way over, like you're going to take your right foot to the floor. Yep, you're rolling back and forth. There you go. Again, can feel good. If it doesn't and just feels silly, then stay where you are. Good. The idea is to keep the knee nice and wide though. So you're not letting the knee get falling in, but as you twist over to that side, as you pull that knee wide. Good. And then slowly release, come back to center, squeeze the knee in towards your chest. Good. So I'm not sure anyone fully understood what I was going for there, but that's okay. And then release that right leg down to the floor, please. Take your left leg up in towards your chest. Good. Hold behind your thigh, extend the heel up towards the ceiling, left leg up. Good. And then you're taking your right hand to your outer left ankle or shin and bringing that leg across, angling it towards your right shoulder. So not all the way into the twist, but angling. Good. And as that leg crosses the midline of your body, you're drawing that right low belly and right side of your sacrum back and down to the floor. So you're pushing down through the right side of your low back, but you're letting that leg come across the body any amount. Good, and pressing out through your heel. Nice. So again, it should feel like something's happening. Good. Focus on pressing back and wide through your lower back. Don't obsess about how far the leg can come across. Nice, Linda. Good, Harriet. Good, Molly. Nice, Elisa. Good. And then bring yourself back to center, please. Bend that left knee nice and wide towards the armpit. Come into half happy baby, bringing the left elbow inside the knee. Reach for the foot or the ankle. Stack that heel, keeping the right thigh rooted down to the floor. So again, here you have the opportunity, push that inner knee wide, let your shin angle slightly in. Good. And again, if that rocking side to side feels like it has meaning, right? The point here is that you got to keep that thigh as wide away from your ribs as it is when you're sitting still. So the rolling back and forth is to create a little bit more openness on the lower back, almost like you're going to take your left foot to the floor, but the knee continues to lift away from, thigh lifts away from your belly. So you've almost got it, Emily. Lift your knee higher. There you go. Good. And then slowly release it. Bring it back to stillness. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. Awesome, you guys. Bring the right knee in as well. Squeeze. Good. Cross right thigh over top of left, please. Wrapping the legs like you would for eagle. Scoot your hips over to the right. Drop your knees to the left. Spinal twist. Good. If this feels like it's too much of a stretch on the thigh or the back, then you can certainly unwind the legs. Maybe stretch your right leg straight out and stretch your straight out to the side of your hip, right leg straight down to the floor. Sorry, right leg straight from your hip, left leg down to the floor. If it feels like too much on the lower back, you can unwind the legs and just stack the knees. Lots of options. Good, but I like this twist for piriformis stuff because if you're really getting in there and pushing back through your low back here, is you can get a very nice feeling of openness there. Or at least it challenges the tightness. Not sure it'll feel open. Good, unwind and come back to center, please. Then take the other thigh on top, so left thigh on top of right. Scoot your hips over to the left, drop your knees to the right. Good, and again, left arm can go wide or the arm up over the ear. Again, adjusting for if there is too much sensation or too much sensation that's not useful. You can always unwind the legs and stack the knees. You can always come into a straight leg twist where the left leg is extended straight out from the hip. And the right leg is extended straight down to the floor. There is a place in you that is always the energy of the blue sky. So no matter what you are doing, the blue sky is always the backdrop. You can return to it at any moment, but if you forget that it's there, you forget yourself. Then it seems like the momentum of the world is all that's real. The work of the world is all that's real. So Shivaratri is this opportunity where Shiva says, your turn. I'm taking a break. It's your turn to be the Shiva energy. It's your turn to keep this world moving the way that it is designed to move, the way that it can move if you are true to yourself. A little bit of a rebel. Unwind your legs, please come back to center. Hug your knees in towards your chest, bring your forehead up to meet your knees and squeeze. You might even feel good to press your shins back against your hands here, a little extra resistance. Good, and then slowly release, please, extending the legs out in front of you, arms alongside you, palms facing up. Again, because piriformis tends to be very associated with tightness in the lower back as well, a blanket or a bolster underneath the knees in Shavasana can be a nice release, encourages more release. And come back to the blue sky. No beginning and no end. It It is never not there. Very gently bring the awareness back to the breath, letting the body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And draw the knees in towards your chest. Roll to your right side. And take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. The reminder of the blue sky is that that space exists in you always. And that anytime you step away from the whirling and the twirling and the dancing and the crazy of the mind and the momentum of the world, is that what you find is the blue sky is there. So this is, Shiva says, our greatest teaching, and what he really represents is that within all of that twirling and twirling and twirling is there's this steady place that is always here. And that this is really who you are. It's not all that other stuff you do, it's this. And if you're not true to this feeling of living in freedom, of living free to be who you are, as you are, then the world will take you away from yourself. And then you've participated in so much that has maybe not brought you joy, maybe has caused you to feel suffering, maybe has caused you to lose something. And he's also the teaching that nothing can ever be lost, right? Things can dissolve, but they never disappear. The blue sky is never not there. So we're asked as Shivaratri to wake up to that, to stand in it, and for it to be your turn, to know the center of yourself, how your experience of this world emanates from you, how you participate in it, and to be steadfast, to be true to that, even if it means you have to be a little rebellious. So that's tomorrow night. Stay up all night with yourself, or all day, stay present with yourself if you still plan to go to sleep. And celebrate that this blue sky self lives in you. Every moment, it's never not there. Deep breath in for Om. Sliding the thumbs to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week. Again, there's lots of things online for Shivaratri if you're interested in celebrating at all or chanting or anything like that. Just look it up. And I think that's it. Just reminder, this Saturday, the TTs, our current TTs are running a bottled water and box juice drive for Oasis in Patterson. So if you'd like to participate in that, it's from, I think, 10 to 2